There was once an engine that crossed borders without ever losing its identity. From the United States to Mexico, its legacy carried hidden stories of power and durability that only a few truly understood. It became a classic that defied time and geography, earning respect among farmers, mechanics, and truck enthusiasts alike. Today, when we talk about the Chevy 292 Inline-6, we're not just discussing another motor. We're looking at one of the heavyweights of Chevrolet's legendary Big Six family. Introduced in 1963, the 292 was purpose-built with a clear mission: deliver torque and long-lasting strength for work trucks. And it accomplished exactly that. With 292 cubic inches of displacement, roughly 4.8 liters, the engine quickly became a favorite in workhorse pickups, government fleets, and even industrial applications. Unlike the smaller 230 and 250 inline-sixes, the 292 stood out with its taller block, longer crankshaft stroke, and a design focused on pulling power rather than speed. One of the first things you notice about this motor is its configuration. Inline-6 engines are naturally well-balanced, and the 292 was no exception. It ran smoother than most V6 designs of its era and didn't require advanced electronics to survive the daily grind. Its 3 motor mounts, instead of the usual 2, and the forward-shifted passenger side mount made it easy to spot but also caused challenges for people trying to swap one into vehicles without the right brackets. This was not a high-revving performance engine, nor did Chevy intend it to be. Instead, it produced steady low-end torque, about 280 pound-feet in its most common form, making it perfect for hauling heavy loads and navigating rough terrain. Horsepower figures averaged around 165, varying slightly depending on year and application. Like most engines of its time, it relied on a simple carburetor, usually a dependable Rochester monojet, which kept it easy to maintain and service. Built with cast iron block and head, the 292 was heavier than some competitors, but that extra weight translated into toughness. It was designed for long workdays, with a liquid cooling system and durable crankshaft capable of handling constant stress. Maintenance was straightforward, the kind of job you could handle with a set of wrenches and mechanical intuition. Over the years, it powered trucks like the Chevy C10, C20, and heavier-duty GMC models, cementing its reputation as one of the most reliable inline-sixes Chevrolet ever built. But to really appreciate the 292, we need to go back in time and see where it came from. The story begins in 1929, when Chevrolet introduced its very first inline-six, the famous Stovebolt 6. The Chevy 292 was never designed for small cars. It was built for trucks, vans, and heavy-duty vehicles. One of its defining differences lies in the connecting rods. While the 250 inline-six used 5.7-inch rods, the 292 featured longer 6.75-inch rods, giving it more leverage on the crankshaft and reinforcing its reputation as a torque-focused engine. Although its cylinder head could interchange with smaller inline-six models, swapping components was never as simple as it seemed. Calibrations in the carburetor and airflow were specific to the 292's larger displacement. Using a 250 carburetor without proper adjustments would rob it of the low-end grunt that made the engine so special. Even the exhaust system had key differences. While the manifolds looked similar across the 250 and 292, not all were interchangeable without modification. Many owners turned to custom headers or truck-specific manifolds to ensure proper fit and performance. Another subtle change was the fuel pump, mounted at a slightly different angle and driven by a unique camshaft lobe. Even the harmonic balancer carried more mass to help absorb the stronger vibrations generated by the extra torque. These details made it clear, while the 292 looked like just another Chevy inline-six, it was actually a breed of its own, bigger, stronger, and purpose-built for work. When Chevrolet launched the 292 in 1963, marketed under the Turbo Thrift name, it effectively replaced the aging 261 Stovebolt that had powered work trucks for nearly 2 decades. The 261 had been reliable, but the market demanded more torque, durability, and efficiency. The 292 delivered all 3. It stood taller than the 230 and 250 thanks to its longer crankshaft stroke, which pushed displacement to 292 cubic inches or 4.8 liters. With about 165 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque, its strength was not in peak performance, but in the steady low-end pull that truck owners depended on. One of the most important improvements was the crankshaft support. Unlike the old stove-bolt design with only 4 main bearings, the 292 came with 7 mains. This provided greater strength, reduced flex, and improved engine life, especially under constant heavy loads. Despite its taller block, Chevy engineers managed to make the 292 lighter than the 261 by nearly 100 pounds, an impressive step forward in efficiency and handling for trucks. The cylinder head retained the cast-iron, closed-chamber design common in other turbothrift engines, with separate intake and exhaust manifolds that improved airflow distribution. Like its siblings, it used the dependable Rochester monojet carburetor, but with tuning specific to the 292's larger needs. It wasn't meant for muscle cars or racing. Its true strength was pulling trailers, hauling loads, and powering delivery vans and farm trucks. By 1944, the engine had spread across Chevy and GMC pickup lines, quickly becoming the backbone of their workhorse fleet. Production of the 292 continued well into the 1980s. In 1980, GM shifted manufacturing from the United States to its Ramos Arizpe plant in Mexico. Internally designated as RPO L25, this updated version became known as the high-torque 4.8-liter. Though production moved, the motor retained the same core design: cast-iron durability, separate manifolds, and the monojet carburetor. Unlike the smaller 250, which later received an integrated cylinder head design to cut costs, the 292 stayed with its traditional layout, maintaining its reputation for ruggedness and simplicity. By the late 1980s, however, the 292 began to fade from GM's lineup. Stricter emissions rules and the industry's shift towards smaller, more fuel-efficient engines spelled the end of the big Inline-6. By 1987, it was only available in 3/4-ton and 1-ton trucks outside of California. 2 years later, in 1989, production officially ended, replaced by the 4.3-liter V6, an engine derived from the small block V8 with 2 cylinders removed. Still, the 292 refused to disappear entirely. In Brazil, it remained in service until 1998, powering work trucks and commercial vehicles thanks to its durability. Across its long lifespan, from its U.S. debut in 1963 to its extended production run in Mexico and South America, the Chevy 292 held on to its identity, a tough, torque-heavy inline-six that could take years of abuse and keep running. Today, the 292 lives on in the hearts of classic truck enthusiasts and in every surviving workhorse that still carries it under the hood. More than just another engine, it became a symbol of Chevrolet's philosophy: simple, strong, and built to last. A true classic that never goes out of style.